Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Sharon Bown, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Corporal Daniel Hodson. We warmly welcome Wing Commander Bob Howe, retired, representing the Air Force Association. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you are able, would you now please stand and join in singing the National Anthem?
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is God by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Those requiring a seat, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Flight Lieutenant Robert Alfred Wines. Robert Wines was born on the 2nd of June 1916 in Parkes, New South Wales, the son of Alfred and Agnes Wines. Robert Wines later lived in Rose Bay in Sydney, where he completed a Bachelor of Science degree at Sydney University before working as a bank clerk. He was also a member of the Sydney University Regiment from April 1938 until May 1940, when he was discharged to enlist in the Royal Australian Air Force. After enlisting on the 19th of August 1940, Wines began training as a pilot. Having attended elementary flight training school in Narromine, he embarked for overseas service in late November. As part of the Empire Air Training Scheme, he was one of almost 27,500 RAF pilots, navigators, wireless operators, air gunners, and flight engineers who, throughout the course of the war, joined Royal Air Force squadrons or Australian squadrons based in Britain. Wines first travelled to Calgary in Canada, where he attended service flight training school from December 1940. After being awarded his flying badge on the 10th of April 1941, he left Canada a fortnight later, bound for the United Kingdom. In May, Wines joined Number 54 Operational Training Unit, based at RAF Church, Fenton in Yorkshire. This unit trained night fighter crews, flying Bristol Blenheim light bombers and Bolton Paul Defiant interceptor aircraft. In March the following year, Wines returned to Australia, joining Number 22 Squadron, RAF, in July. By November, the squadron had moved to Port Moresby in New Guinea, where it flew Boston light bombers and Beaufighters in support of Australian Army operations against Japanese forces around Boona and Gona. Initial losses were high, but Wines excelled at his role. Operating in conjunction with Number 30 Squadron RAF, in December, the squadron undertook several low-level attack missions and damaged a Japanese destroyer. In March 1943, it played an important role in the Battle of the Bismarck Sea, an air-sea battle that produced significant losses for the Japanese. In April 1943, the squadron moved to Goodenough Island, with operations consisting of anti-shipping patrols and attacks around Cape Gloucester, photo reconnaissance missions, and ground attack missions on targets throughout New Britain. In August 1943, Wines received the Distinguished Flying Cross. His citation noted, "His ability and determination has ensured the maximum result from all attacks. On one occasion, his aircraft was hit, rendering all hydraulic ancillary equipment inoperative. In this condition, with the aircraft bomb doors open, he successfully fought off an attacking enemy fighter, but was injured in the resultant crash landing, which had to be effected as the direct outcome of these attacks." The citation went on to note that Wines was also a member of a formation of 5 aircraft which attacked and completely destroyed 7 out of 8 huts at Vaipalai on the 21st of February 1943, causing the deaths of 237 Japanese. He was also a member of a formation which successfully bombed Lae Airfield on the 3rd of March 1943. It attacked a Hibiki-class destroyer during the Battle of the Bismarck Sea and scored a direct hit upon the destroyer, which was subsequently confirmed as sunk as a result of this bombing. By the end of 1943, Wines had an impressive record as a pilot. Early in 1944, he was posted to Number 5 Operational Training Unit, RAF, at Wagga Wagga, where he would serve as an instructor. After about 6 months of training pilots, on the 15th of June 1944, Flight Lieutenant Wines was posted to Number 1 Aircraft Depot, and RAF unit based at Laverton in Victoria. Initially formed as a maintenance unit, it's now undertook research and development on aircraft such as the Supermarine Spitfire, CAC Boomerang, and Wacket Wimmera. It also ran comparative performance studies on Spitfires, Boomerangs, Kitty Hawks, Brewster Buffaloes, and Mitsubishi Zeros. The special duties and performance flight arm of the unit would eventually evolve into an independent aircraft research and development unit. On the 11th of December 1944, Robert Wines was the pilot of a B-25 Mitchell medium bomber, detailed to carry out an armament test flight at the Torquay Sea Range. After taking off from Laverton at 10:45 a.m, Wines flew over the target area and headed to sea before flat diving towards the sea, firing its front guns. Flight Lieutenant Clare was operating the turret and had fired some short bursts into the water before he noticed smoke. He pulled himself from the turret to find the fuselage full of dense black smoke. He and one of the armourers, leading aircraftman Dennis Roberts, found extinguishers but were unable to put out the fire. When the aircraft then struck the water and broke open, Clare and Roberts were thrown clear. The automatic dinghy operated perfectly and was within a few yards of Clare, who boarded it and then assisted Roberts to embark. Clare and Roberts were rescued by fishermen. Despite searches, nothing was seen of the other crew members, who were later presumed to have died as a result of the accident. They were leading aircraftman Ronald Kavanagh, Squadron Leader Frederick McGrill, and Flight Lieutenant Robert Alfred Wines, who was 28 years old. With no grave but the sea, today he is commemorated at the Sydney Memorial at Rookwood Cemetery. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Flight Lieutenant Robert Alfred Wines, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes today's last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.